The Journey of Justice, the story of a judge and a white man. In a quiet southern town, where whispers of change clashed with the echoes of history, Judge William Carter was known as a pillar of justice. With his towering figure, silver hair, and deep voice, he commanded respect in the courtroom. Yet, beneath his stern exterior lay a man grappling with the complexities of justice in an imperfect world. One winter morning, a case landed on his desk that shook the town to its core. A young black man, Marcus Hayes, stood accused of assaulting a wealthy white businessman, Henry Whitaker. The evidence seemed stacked against Marcus: an eyewitness, a bloody handkerchief, and a history of minor offenses. The town buzzed with rumors, many convinced of Marcus's guilt before the trial even began. Among the jury members sat Thomas Reed, a middle-aged white man who had lived in the town his whole life. Thomas had inherited his father's hardware store and was a man of few words. Like many in the town, he held deep-seated biases he had never questioned. But life has a way of challenging even the most rigid beliefs. As the trial began, Judge Carter presided with his usual precision, ensuring both sides were heard. The prosecutor painted Marcus as a violent man with no respect for authority. Meanwhile, Marcus's defense attorney, a young idealist named Sarah Evans, argued that the evidence was circumstantial and riddled with inconsistencies. Thomas, sitting quietly in the jury box, found his thoughts drifting. He remembered an incident from years ago when he had been falsely accused of theft by a customer at his store. Though the situation was resolved, the sting of being wrongly accused had never left him. For the first time, he wondered if Marcus might also be a victim of prejudice and assumption. As the days passed, Sarah Evans presented a compelling case. She brought forward witnesses who testified to Marcus's good character and pointed out flaws in the prosecution's evidence. The so-called eyewitness admitted under cross-examination that he hadn't seen the attack clearly. Doubt began to creep into the minds of the jurors. Judge Carter watched the proceedings intently. He had seen too many cases where justice was overshadowed by bias. He admired Sarah's determination and noted Thomas's quiet introspection. Perhaps, he thought, this town was capable of change. When the jury retired to deliberate, tensions ran high. Some members were convinced of Marcus's guilt, while others, led by Thomas, argued for a closer look at the evidence. After hours of debate, Thomas shared his own experience of being wrongly accused. His words struck a chord, and one by one, the jurors began to question their initial judgments. The verdict was finally delivered: not guilty. As Marcus broke down in tears, the courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and outrage. Judge Carter banged his gavel, restoring order. He looked at Marcus and saw not just a young man freed from injustice, but a symbol of hope for a fairer future. Outside the courthouse, Thomas approached Marcus. The two men exchanged a handshake, a small but significant gesture. In that moment, they both understood that the journey of justice was not just about laws and courts, it was about confronting the biases within oneself and others. Judge Carter watched from the steps of the courthouse, a faint smile on his lips. The road ahead was long, but this was a step in the right direction. Justice, he knew, was not a destination but a journey, one that required courage, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to truth.